What's up guys, hope you're doing great. It's your boy PHOTOSHOOT. In today's video, we're going to look at how we can simply light our subject with just two lights, make it as simple as possible, and in addition to making it as simple as possible, you're going to use continuous lights. Yes, continuous lights instead of using the traditional flashes for your studio photography. So let's quickly get into it. This setup is very simple. First of all, my background is brown, and so it's going to actually complement the skin tone of my subject. All right, my subject is wearing clothes that will make him stand out from the background. The frame of the glasses is actually white, so of course it additionally adds on to the contrast and it further separates him from the background. I'm using two lights over here, just as I said earlier, and these two lights are quite different from each other, even though they are both producing continuous lights. One is an LED panel at the back, and my key light is further modified with a softbox. And in addition to the modification of the softbox, I also have a grid, which I'm going to explain why the grid is there and what it's doing. So let's first of all look at the kicker. There's a light back there in the background that's touching the background as well as the side of my subject. So this light is kind of warm, so that I can differentiate it or actually single it out from the whole image, that this is a different contrasting color from the key light, which is close to daylight temperature. My key light is right above the head of my subject, and that's going to cause a lot of shadows. If not so much, it's going to still significantly give some shadows where the light doesn't touch. In such a circumstance, you're going to find deep shadows in the eye sockets, under the chin, under the nose, and areas that the light doesn't directly hit. And to solve this issue, I have a reflector, a curved one for that matter, underneath the key light in the midsection of my subject, which is going to bounce back the light that's spilling away back into the areas that the light doesn't touch. So this is just a modification. It's not a third light, but it rather bounces light that's spilling from the key light back into the areas that the key light doesn't touch. And that solves the problem of the deep shadows getting eliminated. The grid in front of my softbox is going to allow the light to be narrow as possible, that it doesn't touch the background, because I want enough separation of my subject from the background. Though the kicker back there in the right hand side, back there behind my subject, is doing a good job of separating my subject from the background, but I needed to much more add contrast to the background, and so I had to constrain the light beam so that it doesn't touch the background from above. So my key light is with a grid, which is to narrow the light right on top of my subject, and the light actually shines on just my subject and my background is not affected. My kicker is doing two things right here. It is not just touching my subject and carving him out of the background only, but in addition, it is also adding some kind of accent light to my background. So I kept it as close as possible to the background so that it would spill, and because it's a light panel that has barn doors, I could open it up and angle in such a way that the inside part of the barn doors are actually reflective, and so it bounces light off its surface back into wherever it's pointing against. So it was adding some accent light to my background in addition to the kicker that was given to my subject to carve him out of the background further. So this is simply how I use continuous lights to light my subject and make it look appealing enough. Even though my choice of continuous lights here are not as strong and would never match up to flashes, I was still able to use it because the space I was shooting in wasn't too big and there wasn't any additional light interfering with the intensities that my two lights were giving me. I shot on my Canon EOS 6D. In front of it is the 50mm 1.8 STM lens. And so just to deepen the fact that every equipment that I used on set was basic and was so simple and less expensive, relatively. And I shot live view most of the time because I wanted to see as I was shooting how the lights were affecting my subject, and so I used the live view instead of using my optical viewfinder because I wanted to see as I changed the settings and how the light was playing around overall in my frame. So that's how I simply did this photo shoot with just two light setups that you can, diversify its positioning and all that. But I decided to use a C stand to have my light right above my subject and narrow it with a grid, a softbox to soften the light, and a kicker back there in the background to touch the background as well as my subject. Thank you very much for watching this video to the end. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you haven't, turn on the post notification button so that you'll be the first to be always notified anytime I upload a new video over here on my YouTube channel. And until the next video, I'm going to catch you later. Have a wonderful day. See ya.